My friends, words are powerful, but they lose their weight when not backed by action. Too often we find people who speak big dreams, make tall promises, and paint beautiful pictures of the future with their words. But when it comes to action, silence takes over. It's not our speech that defines us, it's our steps. When you plant a seed, you don't keep talking to it every day, telling it to grow faster. You water it, you nurture it, you give it sunlight, and then silently, patiently, it grows. In the same way, your actions are the sunlight and water to your dreams. Think about it. Do we admire the person who only talks about running a marathon or the one who quietly runs 10 kilometers every morning? Do we respect the person who lectures about kindness or the one who simply shows up with kindness when needed? Talking is easy. Action is rare. Talking makes promises. Action makes results. Talking creates expectation. Action creates transformation. So let your silence speak louder than your noise. Let your consistency become your introduction. Let your results become your biography. The world listens less to what you say and more to what you show. We live in a world where words flow so easily. Promises are made every day by leaders, by friends, by even our own selves. I will change. He will improve. He'll start from tomorrow. Words can sound sweet, inspiring, and full of hope, but without action, they quickly become like soap bubbles. Colorful for a moment, then gone in an instant. Words without action lose their value. Hostile. They may excite people at first, but very soon they leave behind disappointment. Think about a child who tells his parents before exams, I will study, I promise this time I will get good marks. The parents feel hopeful for a few days. But if the child never opens his books, if the nights are still spent on games and distractions, then the words sound empty. And the next time he makes the same promise, the parents won't even believe him. His words lost their value because actions never followed them. On the other hand, consider someone who speaks very little. She doesn't announce big promises. She doesn't keep repeating what she will do, but every day she quietly wakes up early, studies, prepares, and stays disciplined. At the end of the year, when the results come out, her actions speak louder than anything she could have said. Her actions gave weight to her words, because when she finally says, I worked hard, no one doubts it. They saw it in her results. This is the difference. Words can attract attention, but actions build trust. Words can start a relationship, but actions sustain it. Words may win applause, but actions win respect. Sometimes in life, people make big declarations to impress others. A friend may say, I'll always be there for you. But when challenges come, when you actually need them, they disappear. And then you realize, it wasn't their words that mattered, it was their actions. A quiet friend who never once said, I'll be there for you, but showed up when you were in need. That person's silence had more meaning than someone else's 1,000 words. Even in our personal growth, the same principle applies. How many times do we tell ourselves, tomorrow I will start exercising, tomorrow I will wake up early, tomorrow I will quit bad habits. Tomorrow becomes next week, next month, next year. The words keep repeating, but without action, they carry no power. But the day we actually wake up, tie our shoes, and take the first step, that action gives strength to every word we ever said to ourselves. It is not that words are useless. Words can inspire, motivate, and set direction. But they only hold meaning when backed by effort. A promise gains value when kept. An apology becomes real when followed by change. A dream sounds beautiful when described, but it becomes believable only when you are seen working on it. The truth is, actions are the foundation, and words are just the decoration. And words are just the decoration. A house built only on decoration but no foundation will collapse. But when the foundation is strong, even if the decoration is simple, people admire it. Similarly, when actions are strong, words don't need to be fancy. They carry natural weight. They have authenticity. So remember this. If you want your words to be trusted, let your actions lead them. Speak less if needed, but act in a way that when you do speak, people know you mean it. Because at the end, words without action are just noise, but actions, even without words, become music. Promises have a unique charm. When someone makes a promise, it immediately sparks hope. It feels good to hear words like, oh, don't worry, I'll handle it, or trust me, I'll never let you down. In that moment, we feel reassured, we feel secure, but the truth is, promises have a short shelf life. They impress people only for a while. What really stays, what really lasts, are the results that follow or don't. Think of a politician during election season. They stand on the stage, with lights shining and crowds cheering, making endless promises. We will build schools. We will give jobs. We will change the system. For those few moments, people clap. The words create excitement. But once the elections are over and real life begins, the promises are tested. If those schools never get built, if jobs never come, the applause fades into disappointment. The promises may have won votes, but only results can win trust. It's the same in personal life. Imagine a friend who always promises, I'll come and help you move into a new house. You smile and feel grateful. But when moving day arrives, they don't show up. The next time they make a promise, your reaction is different. You don't get impressed anymore. Their words have lost their sparkle. But another friend who doesn't make big speeches, who doesn't promise much, but quietly shows up on the day, lifting boxes, sweating alongside you, that friend doesn't need to say anything. Their actions, their results impress you permanently. Even in professional life, this difference is clear. An employee might tell his boss, I'll finish the project in 2 days. The boss feels happy, hopeful. But if 2 days later, excuses come instead of results, the promise means nothing. Another employee may not say anything dramatic, may not promise the impossible, but quietly delivers quality. Work on time. That's the person who earns respect, recognition, and trust. Promises are like fireworks. They shine bright for a moment, but then they vanish. Results are like the sun. They rise every day, bringing light, warmth, and reliability. People don't rely on fireworks. They rely on the sun. That is the difference between being impressive for a few seconds and being remembered for a lifetime. There's also another layer to this. Promises create expectations, and expectations are dangerous. If you keep promising but fail to deliver, people begin to feel betrayed. Disappointment is stronger than excitement. When someone doesn't keep their word, it hurts more than if they had never promised at all. But results create inspiration. Results inspire confidence, loyalty, and belief. People will forgive small words, but they rarely forgive broken promises. Think about history. The great leaders who are remembered are not remembered because of the promises they made, but because of the results they gave. Scientists, inventors, social reformers, none of them went around making loud promises. They showed results. They changed lives. And because of those results, their legacy lies on long after their words have been forgotten. In our own lives, it's easy to promise ourselves, I will be healthier, I will work harder, I will achieve my goals, but our future self won't be impressed by these promises. 5 years from now, you won't remember the day you made the promise. You'll remember whether you actually took steps to make it happen. Results are what you will live with. So while promises may give momentary joy, remember that they are temporary. Results are permanent. People might clap when you make a big promise, but they will stand in respect when you actually deliver. Dreams are beautiful. They give us direction, they give us hope, they give us energy to move forward. But dreams, my friends, are fragile in the beginning. They are like seeds. If you dig them up every day to show others a look, here's my dream, they will never grow. Dreams need silent work, not loud declarations. When you declare too much, when you keep announcing to the world what you are going to do, sometimes two things happen. First, you waste energy in speaking instead of acting. And second, you open yourself to criticism before you've even started. It's like telling the world you are going to climb a mountain while you're still standing at the base. People might laugh, discourage, or even distract you. But if you quietly begin your climb one step at a time, suddenly one day they see you standing at the top. That is the power of silent work. Think of an artist. Imagine if an artist kept telling everyone, I will paint a masterpiece. I will create the best work of art this world has ever seen. People may applaud once, maybe twice, but after some time they'll lose interest. But if the artist silently spends days and nights in the studio, practicing strokes, experimenting with colors, perfecting every detail. Then one morning, when the artwork is unveiled, people stand in awe. The declaration didn't make it great. The silent work did. Our dreams require nourishment, and that nourishment comes from discipline, from effort, from patience. If all our energy goes into talking about them, we end up feeling satisfied with the illusion of progress without actually making progress. Sometimes we even confuse talking about our dreams with working on them. Saying, I will start a business 100 times is not the same as studying the market, saving money, or developing a product. There is a quiet dignity in working silently. A student who burns the midnight oil without telling anyone about their preparation surprises everyone. When results are announced, an athlete who trains when no one is watching doesn't need to boast about their commitment. The medal speaks for them. Silence in the process makes the noise at the end even more powerful. But loud declarations, on the other hand, are like fireworks. They look big, they sound impressive, but they fade quickly, leaving only smoke behind. Silent work is like the rising sun. It begins unseen behind the horizon, but steadily and surely it lights up the entire world. There is also another danger of loud declarations. When we talk too much about our dreams, sometimes we invite unnecessary negativity. People might say, you can't do it. It's impossible. Why waste your time? Their doubts become our doubts and suddenly the dream feels weaker. But when we keep it close to our heart, when we protect it in silence and feed it with effort, it grows stronger, unshaken by outside noise. Every great achievement you admire today was once a silent dream nurtured in someone's heart. The scientist working late nights in the lab, the writer scribbling in solitude, the entrepreneur quietly struggling with failures before finding success. They didn't announce every step. They acted and the results became their announcement. So if you truly care for your dream, work on it silently. Let your effort speak. Let your results surprise the world. Because dreams don't grow through declarations. They grow through dedication. Every goal we set in life is like a seed. Seeds have potential, but potential alone does not guarantee growth. You can place a seed on a table and keep staring at it for years. It will never grow into a tree. Why? Because it needs sunlight, it needs water, it needs nourishment. In the same way, our goals need actions. Words are like the label on the seed packet. They may tell you what's inside, they may give you a vision of the future tree, but it is only consistent action like sunlight and water that allows the seed to sprout, take root, and eventually flourish. Think about it. A farmer never spends his time boasting to his neighbors about how big his harvest will be. He doesn't keep declaring, my crops will be the best this year. Instead, he silently wakes up early, waters his fields, removes weeds, and patiently nurtures the soil. His daily repetitive actions are what guarantee the crop, not his words. When harvest season arrives, his results stand tall in golden fields of grain. That is the power of action. It transforms possibility into reality. The same principle applies to our dreams. Let's say you want to become healthier. You can talk endlessly about your plans. I will start going to the gym. I will change my diet. I will be fit within 6 months. But these words are like showing people a packet of seeds without planting them. What matters is whether you lace up your shoes, step outside, and move your body daily. The jogs, the push-ups, the salads instead of junk food, these are the sunlight and water that make your fitness goal grow. It's important to remember that growth takes time. Time. Just as a seed doesn't become a tree overnight, goals don't get achieved in a day. You can't water a seed once and expect a forest. You have to keep watering, keep giving sunlight day after day. Similarly, small, consistent actions nourish your dreams. Reading 10 pages daily may not feel like much, but over a year, it's several books. Saving a little money each month may seem small, but over time, it builds financial security. Small actions are like drops of water. They add up and keep life growing. Sometimes people wonder why their dreams don't grow. The truth is they've been talking about the seed, admiring the seed, or even protecting the seed, but they haven't been feeding it. If you say, I want to learn a new skill, but never practice, your goal remains dry. Just like a plant without water withers, a dream without action dies. There's also a quiet beauty in this process. No one sees the roots spreading beneath the soil. No one applauds the early morning efforts. But all of that invisible work is what makes the tree possible. Actions may go unnoticed at first, but they are never wasted. One day, when the tree stands tall, everyone will see the results of what was done silently. Think about the tallest trees you've ever seen. They began as tiny seeds, nourished patiently with sunlight and water. And what? Your biggest goals work the same way. They don't need speeches, they don't need declarations, they need consistent, nourishing action. If you take care of your goals the way nature takes care of its plants, growth becomes inevitable. In every circle of life, we meet two kinds of people. Those who talk about doing great things and those who actually do them. At first, the talkers may grab our attention. They sound exciting, they paint colorful pictures with their words, and for a moment, we may even believe that they are extraordinary. But admiration, my friends, is never built on words alone. Over time, the talk fades and only actions remain. Actions remain. People may be entertained by talkers, but they admire doers. Imagine a student who always tells classmates, I'm going to top the exams this year. Just wait and watch. Everyone listens. Some may even get impressed temporarily. But when the exams come and the results are announced, his name is nowhere near the top. The admiration disappears. On the other hand, there is a quiet student who never speaks about topping, who doesn't boast about study hours, but who consistently works hard. When the results come and that student stands first, everyone admires him. His silence backed by action earned respect that words could never buy. This truth can be seen in sports as well. Some athletes make headlines before the match with bold statements. We will win easily. Our opponents don't stand a chance, but once the game begins, talk cannot score goals, talk cannot win matches. It is the player who trains hard, who stays disciplined, who focuses on performance that ends up lifting the trophy. Fans don't remember the one who spoke the most. They remember the one who played the best. In workplaces, the same principle applies. An employee might keep repeating promises. I'll do this, I'll achieve that. Just give me time. But after a while, colleagues stop believing. Words without delivery lose value. The employee who quietly delivers on tasks, who solves problems without drama, who produces results without making noise, that is the person who earns admiration. Bosses and peers respect the doer, not the talker. Even in friendships and relationships, the pattern is clear. A friend who keeps saying, I'll always be there for you, but never shows up when needed, slowly loses importance. Another friend may not say those words often, but every time you need them, they are there without excuse. Who do you admire more? The one who spoke about loyalty or the one who lived loyalty? We naturally admire doers because they show us something real, not just something imagined. There is also a psychological reason behind this. Talking about doing something gives momentary satisfaction, almost like we've already achieved it. But that satisfaction is temporary and shallow. Doing something, on the other hand, requires effort, sacrifice, and consistency. That is why doers are rare, and anything rare naturally earns admiration. People admire doers because they demonstrate qualities that are uncommon: discipline, resilience, humility, and commitment. History too proves this point. The figures we celebrate today were not those who just gave speeches about what they would achieve, but those who acted and changed reality. Inventors, reformers, leaders, scientists, none of them became admired because of promises. They became admired because of what they actually gave to the world. Edison is remembered for the light bulb, not for talking about making one. Gandhi is remembered for non-violent action, not for discussing peace without living it. So, while talking may bring you attention for a few minutes, doing will bring you admiration for a lifetime. People may enjoy hearing you talk, but they will admire you only when your actions prove your words. That is the difference between being noticed and being remembered. When we look at people who achieve greatness, we often imagine that they did something extraordinary in one grand moment. We think success comes from a single act, a big decision, or a powerful speech. But the truth is very different. True greatness. True greatness is never built overnight. But it is not created by a single event, nor by the loudness of one's words. It is quietly, patiently, and steadily built through small, consistent efforts, repeated again and again until they create something remarkable. Take the example of a sculptor. If you watch a sculptor at work, you'll notice that they don't take a single massive strike to shape the stone into art. Instead, they make countless small chisels one after another. Each strike may look insignificant on its own, but together they create a masterpiece. In the same way, greatness is not a single loud moment of glory. It is the accumulation of countless small efforts that no one even notices at the time. Many people fall into the trap of making big speeches about what they want to achieve. Oh, one day I will build a business empire. Oh, one day I will change the world. The words sound grand, and for a while people may listen with awe. But without the small steps, studying the market, saving capital, learning skills, solving daily problems, those grand declarations collapse like castles made of sand. Big words without small actions are nothing but illusions. Consider the story of an athlete. Winning a gold medal at the Olympics is not the result of a single speech or a sudden burst of energy. It is the result of years of early mornings, endless training sessions, strict diets, and 1,000 sacrifices no one ever sees. The world may only notice the few seconds when the athlete stands on the podium, but the real greatness was built in silence through small, consistent actions that never made headlines. The same applies to personal growth. If you want to become wise, you don't become wise by loudly announcing, "I will be the wisest person in the room." Wisdom comes from the small daily acts of reading, listening, reflecting, and learning. If you want to build strong relationships, you don't achieve it by giving one big emotional speech. You build it through daily kindness, honesty, and presence. And presence. Every little act adds up, brick by brick, until it becomes a fortress of trust and love. Think about a forest. When you walk through a dense, majestic forest, you see trees standing tall, stretching into the sky. But none of those trees appeared overnight. They grew slowly, inch by inch, year after year. Rainfall after rainfall, sunlight after sunlight after sunlight, they expanded. That slow, consistent growth is what made the forest so powerful and breathtaking. In the same way, true greatness is like a forest. It grows silently with patience and persistence. The danger of focusing only on big speeches is that it gives us a false sense of progress. Speaking about what we will do makes us feel as if we've already achieved something. But real achievement does not come from announcing, it comes from doing. Consistent small efforts may not impress anyone immediately, but over time, they build a legacy far stronger than any speech. History remembers those who acted daily, not those who only spoke loudly. A scientist in a quiet lab, an artist painting alone in a studio, a teacher patiently shaping minds in a classroom. These are the people who show us that greatness is not in a moment of noise, but in a lifetime of effort. Silence has its own power. Many people underestimate it, thinking that if they don't speak, if they don't announce, they will go unnoticed. But the truth is, silence in action carries a depth that no amount of noise in words can match. Actions performed quietly often echo far louder than the loudest speeches. Noise can get attention for a moment, but silence backed by action creates impact that lasts. Think of a library. Inside it, there is silence. Nobody is shouting, nobody is making grand announcements. Yet within those quiet walls lie centuries of wisdom, the thoughts of great minds, the knowledge that shaped the world. The silence of books carries more weight than the noise of countless empty words. Similarly, when you act silently, your results speak with a strength that no shouting could achieve. Consider a gardener. He doesn't stand in front of his garden every day declaring, "These flowers will bloom, these trees will grow tall." He simply waters the plants, removes weeds, tends the soil, quietly, consistently. He doesn't make noise, but when the season comes, the fragrance of the flowers spreads everywhere. His silent work speaks louder than any speech he could have given. We see this truth in human behavior too. Loud words are often used to hide weakness. A person who constantly brags about their abilities usually does so because they lack proof. But the one who remains silent and lets their work speak never needs to prove anything. The world recognizes them without them saying a word. Saying a word. In the professional world, it is often said, don't tell people what you will do, show them. If you're constantly talking about your plans, people may grow impatient. But when you show results without noise, you leave them in admiration. Imagine two employees. One keeps announcing, I will deliver the best presentation. I will blow everyone away. The other one doesn't say much, but spends hours preparing carefully. When the day comes, the first one's noise creates pressure, but the second one's silence delivers results. The quiet presentation done with excellence speaks louder than the loud promises. Silence also protects energy. When we keep making noise about our goals, we waste energy in convincing others. But when we stay silent, that energy is preserved for action. And it is action, not noise, that creates progress. Just as a river doesn't roar about how powerful it is, it simply flows, carving valleys and shaping landscapes. Your silent actions over time will carve out your success. Noise fades quickly, but silent action leaves a permanent mark. A loud drumbeat is forgotten once the sound stops, but a tree planted silently continues to give shade and fruit for years. That is why the quiet doer is always more respected than the noisy talker. Look at history's great change makers. Most of them were not loud with words. They were steady with actions. They did not need to shout about what they were doing. Their silent determination spoke through their work. Their results carried such power that even centuries later, the world remembers them. So never underestimate silence. When paired with action, it is more powerful than the loudest declaration. Silence creates mystery, dignity, and respect. It makes people notice, not because you spoke about it, but because your work is undeniable. Talking is easy. With just a few words, we can create an entire image of the future. We can describe success, wealth, achievement, or even change in such a way that others begin to believe it's already happening. But talking only creates expectations. Expectations in the minds of others, and even more dangerously, in our own minds. Expectations may excite people for a while, but they don't change reality. Only actions can do that. It is action that transforms a situation, a person, or even an entire society. Imagine a teacher who tells her students, this year, I will make sure all of you succeed. I will give you the best education. The students clap, the parents feel encouraged, and for a moment, everyone is filled with hope. But if she doesn't actually prepare lessons, if she doesn't guide the students daily, those words collapse. The expectation was created, but no transformation occurred. Another teacher may not give any dramatic speech, but by showing up consistently, teaching with patience, and giving personal attention, she changes lives. Her actions create transformation that no amount of talking ever could. The same thing happens with personal goals. You might say to yourself, from tomorrow, I will change. I'll be disciplined. I'll be successful. These words may give you a rush of motivation for a few minutes, but they also create expectations inside you. You start to feel as if the change has already begun just because you talked about it. But unless you wake up earlier, unless you practice discipline daily, unless you sacrifice comfort, nothing transforms. Words may decorate the dream, but actions bring it into reality. Look at societies and nations. Leaders often make promises with powerful speeches. They raise expectations so high that people begin to imagine a brighter future instantly. But the test of leadership is never in words, it is in execution. Roads built, schools established, justice delivered, opportunities created. These are the transformations that matter. History remembers not the promises of leaders, but the actions that improve people's lives. Talking can sometimes be dangerous because it places weight on your shoulders. If you declare, I will achieve greatness, people expect it from you. But if you fail to act, those expectations turn into disappointment and mistrust. Action, on the other hand, may not look glamorous at first. It may seem quiet, even invisible. But when done consistently, it surprises everyone by transforming reality. And when reality transforms, no one cares whether you promised it or not. They admire that it happened. Consider the example of a person trying to lose weight. If he keeps telling everyone, I'm going to lose 10 kilos in 3 months, his friends expect to see a difference. To see a difference. If nothing changes, those expectations bring embarrassment. Another person may say nothing at all, but silently changes their diet, goes for runs, and stays consistent. 3 months later, people notice transformation without a single promise being made. Silence with action is far more powerful than promises without delivery. Talking paints a picture of what could be. Action builds the reality of what is. Talking makes people imagine a future. Action makes people live in that future. That is the difference between expectation and transformation. Untransformation. Respect is not something we can demand with our words. We can insist that people listen. We can even speak endlessly about our values and strengths. But true respect doesn't come from declarations. It comes from demonstration. Respect is earned not by what we say, but by what we consistently show through our actions. Think about a workplace. A manager might stand in front of their team and say, I value honesty, I value hard work, I value commitment. These are good words, but if the manager comes late to meetings, takes shortcuts, or avoids responsibility, no one will respect them. The team will listen politely, but deep inside, they know the manager doesn't live what they preach. Another leader may never give a speech about values, but shows up on time, works harder than everyone else, and supports the team in moments of crisis. That leader doesn't need to demand respect. It naturally flows toward them. Respect grows out of consistency. One kind act may make people like you, but repeated acts of kindness make them respect you. One honest statement may earn you trust for a moment, but consistent honesty earns you lasting respect. Respect is never instant. It is built brick by brick, act by act, until people see that your words and your life are aligned. Consider a child and their parents. Parents often say, don't lie, be honest, work hard. But if the child sees the parents lying on the phone, being lazy at home, or not keeping promises, the words lose power. The child doesn't learn from what is said, they learn from what is shown. Respect within a family is built by actions, not lectures. The parent who lives by example, honest, hardworking, caring, earns the deep respect of their children without ever demanding it. This is true in friendships as well. Friends may say, you can trust me, I'll always be there for you. But when tough times arrive, when support is needed, words mean nothing if the friend disappears. Respect is not given to the one who promises. It's given to the one who shows up. The quiet friend who doesn't make big statements, but stands by your side when life is hard. That's the friend you truly respect. Respect also comes from sacrifice. When people see that you are willing to put aside your comfort, to work harder, to go the extra mile, not for yourself, but for the sake of others, they admire you deeply. Sacrifice shown in action speaks volumes about character. No speech about how much you care can compare to a single act of sacrifice that proves it. There is also a danger in chasing respect through words. The more we try to convince others by speaking, the more it seems like we are begging for recognition. But when our actions shine, when we live with integrity, humility, and consistency, respect follows naturally. You don't have to chase it. It comes to you. History is filled with examples of people who earned respect not by talking, but by showing. Teachers who devoted their lives to students, doctors who worked tirelessly to save lives, leaders who sacrificed comfort for justice. All of them prove that respect comes from demonstrated values, not declared values. Their words may have inspired, but it was their lives that commanded respect. Respect is like a shadow. It follows you when you walk in the light of your actions. If you only stand in the spotlight of your words, the shadow disappears. What we show in our daily lives, our discipline, our honesty, our compassion, creates a legacy that words can never match. Every person dreams of leaving behind a story worth remembering. We want people to know who we were, what we did, and how we lived. But here's the truth. No matter how many speeches we give, no matter how often we talk about our goals or values, in the end, it is our results that become our biography. Words may fade, speeches may be forgotten, but results live on. Think about the inventors and scientists we admire today. Gone today. Thomas Edison didn't have to spend his life giving long speeches about how he would change the world. The light bulb he created became his biography. Marie Curie didn't need to constantly talk about her dedication to science. Her discoveries became her biography. They didn't write their legacy in words, they wrote it in results. The work they left behind speaks louder than any self-praise could have. In our daily lives too, this principle holds true. Imagine two students. One talks all year about how he will get the highest grades, impress teachers, and achieve success. The other doesn't say much, but works quietly away. At the end of the year, no one remembers the speeches of the first student. They only remember the results of the second. His grades, his achievements, those become his biography. Results are powerful because they are undeniable. You can argue with words, but you cannot argue with results. If someone says, I am disciplined, people might doubt it. But if every morning they rise early, complete their work, and live with order, the results prove discipline without a single word. If someone says, I am successful, it sounds like boasting. But if they create value, achieve goals and make a difference, the results introduce them before they even open their mouths. In friendships, relationships, and leadership, results also define who we are. A person may say, I am a loyal friend. But if they fail to show up when needed, those words vanish into thin air. Another person may never claim loyalty, but their actions, being present, supporting without conditions, become their living biography of loyalty. Words create impressions, but results create truth. Think about history once more. Leaders who fought for justice, who sacrificed for freedom, who changed the destiny of nations, they are remembered not for their speeches alone, but for their results. Martin Luther King Jr. His words were powerful, but it was the civil rights transformation that became his biography. Gandhi spoke of non-violence, but it was the freedom of a nation that made his biography unforgettable. Their words inspired, yes, but it was their results that carved their names into history. Even on a personal level, your results are what will tell your story long after you stop speaking. Years from now, people won't recall the promises you made. They won't remember the speeches you gave about your dreams. They will remember the business you built, the lives you touched, the kindness you showed, the art you created, or the knowledge you passed on. Those results will be your true biography, your living story. This is why focusing on action is so important. Every step you take, every effort you make is writing a line in your biography. You don't need to speak loudly about it. The world will read it in the results you leave behind. Words are temporary, but results are permanent. Your results are the chapters of your life story, louder than any speech you could ever give.